All right, welcome back. So here we are with another LOC original owner, Robert, out of the Panion division. The Illuminati, the headline for him, the perfect season.
Yeah, and it's not a good perfect season. It is at 0-13. He did win a game, though, in the consolational playoffs that don't count, where people aren't actually setting their lineups. But he did win one or two games.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he could take some pride in that. Not really.
Not really. He went 0-13 last year. He is 8-18 overall. He did win the Hugh Jackson Award, which is kind of funny because he went 8-5 the first year. And he went 0-13 last year. I don't know what happened, but something happened.
How does that even happen? That's what I looked at too. 8-5. Like I'm like, okay, Robert, yeah, you know that's a good record. You're back to your East Division champ winning ways. Mm-hmm. 0-13. Like I don't even know. Like that's just dramatic.
I agree. Looking at his team, he has Brady and Tyson Hill, we don't even know if he's ever going to start. He has Elliott, Fournette, Etienne, Williams, and not the good one. Jefferson, Watkins, Robinson, Greg Ward, who I dropped. Cook, Doyle, Conklin, Carrier, Bass, and Colts. I mean, his teams, yeah, and that's a nice way to put it.
His team's straight up awful, man. Like, I mean, he's got Elliott, right? Like, and he's got Brady, who's going to retire. His succession plan at quarterback, I guess, is Taysom Hill. Obviously, Justin Jefferson's a good player, but even when I look at his IDPs and I compare it to the rest of the teams out there, I'm just like, I look at his DBs and I'm like, is he thinking Jalen Ramsey's going to get a ton of pick sixes? Like, I don't know what he's thinking.
No, neither did I. I'm trying to verify something real quick so I can make fun of him just a little bit more. But actually, I don't know if it's actually true. But looking at his draft grades, you gave him a D-. I gave him a D+ just because he drafted Tyler Kroft in the 5th round, which I was like, oh, wow, I didn't expect him to go. That's a great pick. And then I looked, he dropped him. He's not even on his roster anymore. Like, I don't know. He took, and this is going back to what we kind of talked about with Zebras. He took the Colts defense at 4-4. I mean, he could took Ali Cox or Exridge there. He took Tyson Hill at 2-4. And I think at that point, and this is where reason I gave him a D. When you need a quarterback and you're drafting in the 2nd round, you need to check who else needs a quarterback. Because if it's one other team, you don't need to draft a quarterback, especially if you're going to draft Tyson Hill. Look at who can be drafted, know who's left and where they're picking. Because I think No More was the only other team, and he was picking in the bottom of the 3rd round, where the Illuminati had 2 extra picks before he could even had to take a quarterback if he was worried that Tyson Hill wasn't going to be there. So he just needs to, and this is for everybody, you need to look at when you can take a quarterback. This is why I got Justin Herbert in the last pick of the draft 2 years ago, because I knew nobody else needed a quarterback. And I was like, I can wait. I don't have to rush them. So I think we just need to, people need to be a little bit smarter when they're taking what players in Dynasty. And he took Tyson Hill at 2-4. As I said, he could take Hubbard, Freiermuth, Tooney, Marshall, Bateman, Rondell Moore, Stevenson. He had a pick of everybody he could have picked, and he took Tyson Hill.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why he got the D- for me. That Taysom Hill pick is one of the worst draft picks I've ever seen. With all those rookie wide receivers still available. And this is where, Robert, like, are you working too much? Like, honestly, man, like when I look at your Dynasty draft, it looks like to me you did absolutely zero research. Because you picked in a great position with Travis Etienne, and everybody knows Etienne. So, yeah, okay, you made the right choice there, in my opinion, right, at pick 4.
Mm-hmm.
But you're picking at pick 4 again in the 2nd round. And to me, you go Taysom Hill, and it makes me think he didn't know any of the other rookies. Because how do you let all those other guys go for a guy like Taysom Hill? So, Robert, if you're working too much, man, like just buy Fantasy Pros, man, and pick off that list if you have no other choice, right? Like,
yeah,
you can't ad hoc this and think you're going to do well. And, I'm just telling you this, bro, because you're putting the money in, right? And you made an investment to put the money in. So just make sure you're doing your research to try to be competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Robert. I mean, he's been in my division in LOC for since the beginning. Him and I always had that rivalry, even though we shoot the shit every once in a while. But yeah, I agree. I think he just needs to. I don't want to say invest more time if he doesn't have it, but he just needs to take a step back and be like, okay, what can I do to make my team a little bit better? Don't trade Trey Lance in the LOC for peanuts. Let's just call it. It's an IDP. Even the best IDPs aren't really worth much. And let's be honest. I mean, he just needs to invest more time. And I mean, he's a great owner. He'll give it back to you if you give him a whole bunch of crap. So, but yeah, I think he's just a learning experience.
Totally.
Looking at his projections, you got him going 2-11. I have him going 4-9, and I think he has the easiest schedule. And looking at all of the teams he plays, most of them he gets lucky for those 4 games because I have him going 1-4, 4-6, and 4-9. So that middle 5 games, he plays teams that are on buys. Like in the beginning, nobody's on a buy. Then there's bye weeks where he's like, yes, I have better players than you guys. And then it's like, oh shit, there's more buys. There's no more buys and I suck again.
That's why getting the perfect season, either way, whether it's 13-0, right, or 0-13, like Robert went, is it's a large probability of that not happening, because always the bye weeks, even for the worst teams, eventually will run into a situation where a guy has all his teams on the bye, right? Like I'm a Browns fan, so I always have tons of Browns. Whoever plays me when the Browns are on the bye, I'm going to likely lose that game, right? And you're right, Robert does fall into that scenario where I think he will pick up a couple W's just based on that. But looking at the draft, looking at the overall rot, you had a chance to improve your team. You were really awful last year. You had a chance to improve your team with good round 2, round 3 picks. You didn't do it, Robert. And what I'm going to say is you're going to be awful again this year. And if you're going to stick it out, just do that research, especially for Dynasty, man. It's only 8 picks. It's only 8. And it's not hard to prep for this draft and make your team better.
Yeah, I mean, or he can do what I did. Sell some of your better players, get those first round picks. You might be able to get Will Fuller for DJ Moore in a first rounder and a second rounder. You might be able to make those trades where you can get those better players, and you're going to pick a good rookie. So I would definitely look into trusting the process for him and trading some of his players and to get better picks for next year.
Or build through the draft.
Or that too. That takes longer.